So I'm gonna make an example project that's gonna use the DAW JSON Link library. So the first thing we're gonna do is add it to our CMake. I'm just gonna copy from another one I have on the side here. Take it from the release. And then we'll add it here, target link libraries. Okay, so I think that does it all. Let's reload changes. It's gonna ask me for my password. A few times it's gonna ask it for me. I set the updates, disconnected updates on here just so that every time we compile, we don't have to check for new updates to the library. But normally, it's up to you if you want that or not. Okay, so let's go back to main. We got that. So now let's make a config. Let's make a header file for our config. Let's call it config.h. Okay. So I'm gonna make a struct config. So let's put something like a file system in there. And we're gonna have a string, and then we'll probably have a number. So standard file system path. Let's call it application path. Let's put a string, application name. Oh dear. And let's throw in an int, and we'll make it an unsigned version. We don't have any negative versions here. Got a typo there. What's it saying? Let's see. Oh, it doesn't like that. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we have our config. We're also going to make a function to return, to parse it. Config, blah, 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 parse config. We'll put it into a string. Oh, no. We'll just give a, there. So we need a string view also. Let's put this into clean format. Oops. There. All right, so we're gonna want to create this, but yeah, so let's make this generate def. We don't want to do it here though. Okay. So now, so we want to firewall the configuration. It's generally best practice. So what I will often do is create a separate header just for the mapping and just suffix it with JSON. And this will include our config, and we need to include CMake working there. In our CMake config. Okay, untitled for. Yep, it's all there. Okay. So space JSON. So we need to we need to specialize a structure called JSON data contract for our type. It's easy to find. It's called config. Okay, so first thing we need is a a type alias called type that has a JSON member list in it, and that's going to create the members for the mapping from our members to the JSON document members. We also need a function here if we're going to do serialization. Sometimes you do with configs, but often you don't. And it's called toJSON data, and it will take our config as, I forgot the return. So we're going to need tuple for this. And then we're just going to forward our values. You don't have, it has to return a tuple, but you don't have to return forward the direct value. It could be, you could forward the return value of a getter setter or some other combination. I think when I was doing DAW JSON, I had to there was a member that was the same for all the types, so I accepted it on the constructor but ignored it, and then when producing it I just return a reference to a static like a global literal, and that way I didn't have to store the value in each instance. But for now, so value dot app, so this is going to have to match so what we have here will have to match the items in our member list that we're going to do in a sec, but and that has to match the construction order for config, which in our case is which in our case has 3 members that we're gonna have to create names for here. So let's create, if this was C++20, we could just go like so, JSON string application path, JSON string application name, and JSON number. And JSON number, we're not going to take the default mapping type because we know it's an unsigned, so we can let the parser specialize. It'll do less work and error if it's not an unsigned. But we can't use these names here because C++17 won't allow them. We need class non-type template parameters. So, but if we were using C++20, that would be fine. So let's static create some literal, some string literals here. Oops. Okay, so we'll just remove the quotes here. We got some and voila. Okay, so that's all we need to do to map that file. So really what it comes down to is the JSON member lists, and if we're going to do some serialization, a tuple of that gets access to the values used to populate the JSON document. So this lets us, we don't have to have any intrusive members or inherit. So now we have our config underscore JSON. Let's create a new, let's create a file for our parser here. Let's call it config.cpp. Config underscore JSON. So let's just go back here. Oops. Return. So this is going to be pretty simple. that's it. And we need some includes or some. We don't need file system. We do need string view. Okay, so let's go to main, and we only need to know about config.h. We're gonna use fstream and iterator. Let's just change the order here. Okay, so we need the argc. Let's get some arguments so we can pass our JSON file. Let's give some nice errors. Must apply the config JSON file. Exit with an error. So let's open up our file and check if it opens. Oh, not. There, if we can't open the file. All right, now we need to get our config. So config cfg equals parse config. Oh, first we have to open the document. Let's put our file into a string. JSON doc. Put that there. Okay. Then what do we call it? JSON doc. Okay. So there's our config. Now we can do some stuff with it. Let's just output it to standard out. Okay. Did I mistype it? You know what? We need to rename this. So let's see how good this refactoring is, because we have a string application path. So let's double check that our application path. Oh, we did it right. It was only there. Awesome possum. Okay, so let's go back to main. So we got to do our version. Oops. And that's it. So now we just need to, let's make a JSON config.json. Okay, so let's go back to main. We'll set a breakpoint right here. It should fail if I do this. Should get an error. Let's go look here. You must apply config JSON file. Okay, so let's just throw that into the configuration. Let's see. We should get to our breakpoint. And we can inspect. Hey, look at that. And if we go to our console, they're all there. But say there was something wrong with it. Let's throw some error handling here. So we're going to catch JSON exception. Did I make an error there? That should be fine. Okay. Did we ever include? Oh, we didn't. Okay. We need to include that. Okay, so now we need, okay, let's put an error there. Error parsing config file. Let's put the name in. And then there's a helper function here that'll make it nice and pretty. Okay, did I get it? Let's build. What did we miss? Oh, found an error. Awesome. So that is a bug in the library that will be fixed. We can do that in a bit. So in the meantime, what I'll do is stop the video. We're back. There was a missing inline on one of the on the Ryu string to double function. Fix that, and now we're building. So we have the error checking here. Let's put that there. Let's throw an error into our config.json here. Let's make this a string. And this also brings up, there are modes of the JSON number where it will accept strings for numbers. It'll strip the double quotes. That also works if they're sometimes strings, sometimes not. I've seen JSON documents where, depending on how where the number came from, I think if it came from a form, sometimes you'll see them as quoted, but if they were calculated, they'd be without quotes. So let's run that again. We have an error. It should. Let's go here, and here's our error. So you can see the document here. So we got unexpected quote prior to number, and where it was, and then we're done. And if we look at the debug, it gives us a full error. That's what the to formatted string does. It gives us a nice somewhat of a position of where the error happened. Okay, so I'll post some more videos of how to do things with the library. This is the simple one. You got to see a bug, unfortunately, but here we go. All right.